In those days was no king in Israel. A man was a deacon, dwelling in the side of the hill of Ephraim, the which took a secondary wife of Bethlehem of Judah. And she did fornication on him, turned again into the house of her father in Bethlehem. And she dwelled at him 4 months. And her husband pursued her, and he would be reconciled to her, and to speak fair with her, and to lead her again with him. And he had in his company a servant, and 2 asses. And she received him, and brought him into her father's house. And when his wife's father had heard this, and saw him, he ran gladly to him, and embraced the man. And the husband of the daughter dwelled in the house of his wife's father 3 days, and ate and drank at home with him. And the 4th day the deacon rose by night, and would have gone forth, whom his wife's father held, and said to him, Taste thou first a little bread, and comfort thy stomach, and so thou shalt go forth. And they sat together, and ate and drank. And the father of the damsel said to his daughter's husband, I beseech thee, that thou dwell here today, and that we be glad together. And he rose and began to desire to go. And nevertheless, his wife's father held him again meekly, and made him to dwell with him. And when the morrowtide was made, the deacon made him ready to go his way. To whom his wife's father said again, I beseech thee, that thou take a little meat, and make the strong till the day increase, and afterward go thou forth. Then they ate together, and the young man rose to go forth with his wife, and with the servant. To whom the father of his wife spake again, Behold thou, that the day is far forth gone toward the going down, and it nigheth to the eventide. Dwell thou with me also today, and lead thou with me a glad day, and tomorrow thou shalt go forth, that thou go into thine house. The daughter's husband would not assent to his words, but he went forth anon, and came against Jebus, which by another name is called Jerusalem. And he led with him 2 asses charged, and his wife. And now they were beside Jebus, and the day was changed into night. And the servant said to his lord, Come thou, I beseech thee, bow we to the city of Jebus, and dwell we therein. To whom his lord answered, I shall not enter into the city of an alien folk, which is not of the sons of Israel, but I shall pass forth into Gibeah. And when I shall come thither, we shall dwell therein, or else in the city of Ramah. Therefore they passed Jebus, and took the way begun. And the sun went down to them beside Gibeah, which is in the lineage of Benjamin. And they turned to Gibeah, that they would dwell there. Whither when they had entered, they sat in the street of the city, and no man would receive them to harbor. And lo, an old man turned again from the field, and from his work in the eventide, and appeared to them, which also himself was of the hill of Ephraim, and dwelt a pilgrim in Gibeah. And men of that country were of the sons of Benjamin. And when the old man raised up his eyes, he saw a man sitting with his fardels in the street of the city. And he said to him, From whence comest thou, and whither goest thou? Which answered to him, We went forth from Bethlehem of Judah, and we go to our place, which is in the side of the hill of Ephraim, from whence we went to Bethlehem. And now we go to the house of God, and no man will receive us under his roof. And we have provender and hay into meat of our asses, and bread and wine into mine uses, and of thine handmaid, and of the servant which is with me. We have no need to anything but to harbor. To whom the old man answered, Peace be with thee. I shall give all things that be needful. Only, I beseech thee, dwell thou not in the street. And he brought him into his house, and gave meat to the asses. And after that they had washed their feet, they received them in to feast. While they ate and refreshed their bodies with meat and drink, after the travail of their way, men of that city came, the sons of Belial, that is, without yoke. And they encompassed the old man's house, and began to knock on the doors. And they cried to the lord of the house, and said, Lead out the man that entered into thine house, that we misuse him. And the old man went out to them, and said, Do not ye, brethren, do not ye do this evil. For the man hath entered into mine harbor, and cease ye of his folly. I have a daughter, a virgin, and this man hath a wife, and I shall bring out them to you, that ye make low them, and fulfill your lust only. I beseech you, that ye work not this cursedness against kine with this man. They would not assent to his words, the which thing the man seeing, he led out his wife to them, and he betook to her, and he betook to them her to be defiled. And when they had misused her all night, they let her go in the morrowtide. And when the darknesses of night departed, the woman came to the door of the house where her Lord dwelled, and there she fell down. And when the morrowtide was made, the man rose and opened the door for to go forth on his journey. And lo, his wife lay at the door, her hands spread abroad in the threshold. And he guessed her to rest, and spake to her, Rise thou, and go we. And when she answered nothing, he understood that she was dead. And he took her, and put on the ass, and turned again into his house. And when he entered into that house, he took a sword, and parted into 12 parts and gobbets the dead body of the secondary wife, and sent into all the terms of Israel. When all the men had heard this, they cried, Never such a thing was done in Israel, from that day in which our fathers ascended from Egypt, till into present time. Say ye sentence, and deem ye in common what is needed to be done.